mean, Riley Cooper, I mean, like, that dude deserves a statue. I mean, like,
number one on your speed dial.
Hey, I'll tell you what, like, I mean, I didn't know until a couple days after the fact. I was like, wait a minute, is he the MVP? Or, like, we got the all-tournament team?
No doubt about it.
And then Ty Floyd, when I struck out 17, and, like, stole it from him. But I was like, when has a pitcher, like, been a part of, like, 5 of the 6 wins in Omaha? I mean, what a performance.
Coach, it's great to meet you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you for the time.
Pleasure.
Yes, sir.
Starting a little late, boys, at the spring game, obviously, as you can see. A couple of booze cruises here to do. Let's fit. Cruise. Grand salami to the boys. Finally back on track. And I got another one coming. Don't you think I don't? And that's how we roll in Tiger Stadium.
Just watching the spring games that were on television, one thing that jumped out about your squad is your quarterback room is very talented compared to a lot of the league and a lot of the country. I wonder, is it easier to recruit that position when you have talent or when you don't have talent? Coach Kelly, we're official.
Finally,
I'm
get a
telling
chance to meet you. Thought I had to get a private audience with the Pope. There's Jordy.
Monday through Friday from 7 to 9. Yeah, you see the notification, we about to go live. We got all your favorite guests, we got them in line. It's the Jordy Culotta Show, come have a good time.
Tearing up, answering the question, and I thought, my God, if she gets offered this job, she's going to take it.
It's just a crazy, fun time at LSU right now. Isn't this what everybody loves?
From the boot to the east to the west coast, no matter where we at, we open up the phone lines, come and join the show. Make sure you tell your friends about Jordy Culotta Show, yeah.
Let's go! Let's go!
All right. Nice start. Big day. Nice start.
It's the Jordy Culotta Show, come have a good time.
Coach, it's great to meet you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you for the time. Welcome in to a Tuesday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show, live here from our Click Here digital campus on Interline Avenue in between Drusilla and Airline Highway, right here in the heart of Baton Rouge, and brought to you every single day by RMB Builders. We appreciate you starting your Tuesday here with us. Make sure and hit that like button, share button, comment with us. We're trying to get 100 likes an hour, so if you're in the chat right now and you have not liked and hit that thumbs up, do us a favor and hit that thumbs up for us. And if you're watching on demand later in the day, you can still hit that like button for us if you don't mind. We appreciate that very much. As we said, RMB building us every single day. Our phone line brought to you by our friends over at Southern Regional Medical Center. Charlie Harvey, Jason Ramazan, BJ, and the crew over there. You can get in touch with them over at Southern Regional Medical Center. Real doctors, real solutions. And our phone line today is popping. We're going to talk to Brooke Kirchhofer from New Orleans Football coming up here at 7:45 this morning. We'll get a report on the Saints from Sunday and the week ahead. And we'll also talk to Wilson Alexander at 8:15 this morning. A couple of award winners here on the Culotta Show with Wilson and Brooke stopping by here. Brooke will be here 7:45. Wilson will be here 8:15. We will react to what Brian Kelly had to say yesterday at his press luncheon. We will also preview the week ahead for the Tigers. Some news comes out about the Missouri game as well that doesn't sit well.
Sneaky news dump.
This show for sure, that 11 a.m. kickoff.
You've been circling this game.
I have. In
This
fact,
was the one.
Yesterday, I was out at the I was not out at the Zachary Rotary yesterday, but I was a month ago. It's usually the last Thursday before the season. I go to the Zachary Rotary Club and speak. And when someone asked me, kind of like at the end of it, you usually like do a Q&A, like, what do you think their record's going to be, and if they lose, who are they going to lose to? And I was
First game of the year.
I was steadfast in saying the game that scares me the most on this schedule right now, when you just look at it on the wall and they haven't played a game, is Missouri. And it was because of where it was located on the schedule, in between Ole Miss and Florida on the road. And then yesterday's news comes out that it's an 11 a.m. kickoff. We'll get to that coming up here on the Culotta Show. Like we said, make sure and hit that like button, share button, comment button for you if you don't for us if you don't mind. Lloyd is here on this Tuesday morning. Stewie is on the ones and twos this morning, as always. And as we said, we will talk to Brooke and we will talk to Wilson coming up here at 7:45 and 8:15. Good to see Kyle Caskey back in the chair last night, breaking it down. Caskey's clicker last night was on the Culotta Show. Moving forward, it will be a part of Caskey's Clicker YouTube page. So make sure and find Caskey's Clicker YouTube and give them a follow, because from now on, the breakdown weekly from Coach Caskey will be coming from his YouTube page. Hopefully last night it was easy to find, and you got the breakdown as you saw what Coach Caskey was talking a lot about. Defensively, the rush lanes seem to be an issue as far as over-pursuing when rushing the quarterback, and then offensively, a really cool breakdown from Coach as he was pointing out, a lot of the stuff that's working right now for LSU offensively, and pointing out Jayden Daniels and just really how he is playing right now. Speaking of Daniels, he was named co-offensive player of the week by the league yesterday for the second consecutive week. So Jayden Daniels right now obviously playing quarterback at a very high level. Speaking of Daniels, some accolades for him coming down here from a career standpoint, as Jayden was able to become one of only a few LSU quarterbacks to throw for 4,000 yards and to rush for 2,000 yards during his LSU career, or rush for 1,000 yards over the weekend. So he picked up, as we said, his second SEC Player of the Week award after his performance versus Arkansas, where he was 20 of 29, completed 20 of 29 passes for over 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. The Tigers scored on their final 6 possessions, and Jayden became the 6th player in FBS history to pass for 10,000 yards and rush for 2,000 yards in his career. He leads the league right now in total offense at 372 per game, total touchdowns with 14, passing yards per game with 324, passing touchdowns that it stands at 12. So right now he is the leader in 5 statistical categories in the SEC, and is backed up with 2 SEC Offensive Players of the Week through the first 4 weeks of the season. So obviously LSU getting high production out of their quarterback after a weekend. And look, we've been critical of the quarterback position on this show over the last couple of weeks, but the development and the improvement and the ability to push the ball down the field has really, I thought, made the difference with Daniels and just him taking that next step. It feels like his game has taken the next step over the last couple of weeks. So it was good to see Jayden Daniels recognized by the league yesterday, and we'll have some of the bites from Brian Kelly coming up here shortly. Stewie, can you give me a shot here of our framed Drew Brees jersey from our friends over at Signa Frames? As we said, we are doing a giveaway with our friends over at Signa Frames. And if you can see, the frame has the LED lighting on it, which is pretty cool. You see the the collectible card inside of the frame. It is a signed Drew Brees jersey, and you have the opportunity to win that from our friends over at Signa Frames. All you got to do is get over to Signa Frames on Instagram, like, comment, and tag 3 people on that post.
To that thing.
There you go. And you will be eligible to win the giveaway of this Drew Brees LED jersey along with 2 Saints tickets to the October 19th Thursday night game versus Jacksonville. It started last week, and entries will close on Thursday, October 12th, and the announcement date of the winner will be Friday the 13th. October 13th, we will announce the winner, and we will notify you. But get over to Instagram, get over to Signa Frames and the Culotta Show, give each a like, comment, and tag 3 people, and you will be eligible to win that Drew Brees frame jersey from our friends over at Signa Frames. All right, so Brian Kelly yesterday speaking to the press, and the media yesterday was in there waiting to hear what Coach Kelly was going to say after another win inside Tiger Stadium, and some of the things that he said stood out. Here is Coach Kelly talking about his quarterback, as we said, Jayden Daniels, again named SEC Player of the Week. Stewie, this is 5 of Kelly speaking of his senior quarterback. You need a minute?
I just put note the number 5.
5.
JD 5.
5.
Go ahead, whenever you're ready.
One thing I do want to announce, Jayden Daniels was the SEC Co-Offensive Player of the Week for the 2nd consecutive week, so congratulations to him. And he also becomes only the 6th player in FBS history with 10,000 passing yards and 2,000 rushing yards. So congratulations to him as well.
Jayden Daniels, as we said, really is playing the quarterback position at a high level right here. This is 10, Stewie. This is the soundbite that really popped yesterday from Brian Kelly. We were talking about Deshaun Womack. A lot of the buzz around and a lot of people who are talking LSU football, a similar storyline that we've been talking about as well is, look, is playing the top players. Is playing the best players, the guys that are producing, the guys that are giving you the best chance to win. Now, look, undoubtedly, all of us who are talking about LSU football don't know exactly what's going on in the building every single day. You got relationships, you talk to people, you know it's, you kind of get as much information as you can to find out what's going on, and come to this microphone and give the information. And by everything that we've understood, there's nothing outstanding with Deshaun Womack that would keep him really off the field from what's going on, just in his preparation. Is he young? Yeah. Is he inexperienced? No doubt. Can he play? Undoubtedly. But here is Brian Kelly explaining what the thought process and what the development is looking like with Deshaun Womack to rush in out of Maryland.
He's young. He's learning. He couldn't even keep his helmet on when he was out on the field. So we got to teach him how to buckle his chin strap and do all that kind of stuff. So, look, I mean, it's a process. I know everybody wants to make a superstar of all these guys in the first time. He's going to be a really good player. And I don't want to take anything away from the young man, but there's a process that he's got to continue to do the little things the right way, and he's making progress. And as you see, we're getting him on the field in our dime package and our nickel package because he can rush the passer. And I'm pretty confident you're going to see more of him, but let's just tap the brakes here a little bit. He's not ready for a starting position, but he's going to definitely help our defense.
Sweet.
Look, that answer, I think more he's speaking to the player. He's not speaking to the fan base. Right? Like, I think that's what we have to all understand is that from an answer to the masses, that doesn't make a lot of sense. If you're speaking directly to Deshaun Womack, I get that. Like, I understand that. Right? And I think speaking that into the public is probably a humbling moment for the player because you're coming off of, 5 plays where you created 3 pressures and a sack. I mean, like, you got to be curious, kind of like laying in bed at night, like,
what more can I do,
what
Coach?
else can I do?
Could have had two
Like,
sacks.
If you play me more, who's to say what would have happened? So if he's speaking the message to the player, I get it. I got to believe, though, internally, when watching film and just kind of understanding the lack of production that has come from that spot, and then you throw this kid in there, and automatically you get, lightning in a bottle, where you got to continue to play that, like put that out there and give yourself the best chance to win the game, right? Like that's what it ultimately comes down to with the argument of playing the best players. I know there's a process for young players getting on the field. I know there's a process for transfers that have to come into a program and learn culture, whatever it takes to get onto the field. But once that criteria is met, and once there is an understanding that there is buy-in from that player, at the end of it, if he can play, you got to play him. Right? Like, I mean, I understand, like, off the field, there's lessons and things that you have to learn to understand to be a college football player. But ultimately, if he steps in and he is more advanced than the competition at his position, then he's got to play. And all of that stuff of the development and taking care of the stuff off the field and the process of what he's going through is still happening. Right? I mean, like, he's still inexperienced if he's playing, but he's gaining that experience of what you're talking. I mean, all that you're doing by not playing him is extending the inexperience talking point. At some point, you got to throw him into the pool. You got to throw him out into the field and say, look, you're the best guy for the job.
Sink or swim.
You're going to have to go to class. You're going to have to be at the meals on time. You're going to have to be accountable to your SWAT team leaders and everything that it takes to be an LSU football player. And you have a smaller amount of grace, or you may have a larger amount of grace that's very small because you're new, because you're a freshman, because you're young, because you haven't done it. So we're going to hold your hand and walk you down that line, but you're playing. I mean, like, I don't know if, and he probably was. He was probably trying to just kind of be lighthearted.
He's trying to take the air out the room a little bit, easing the tension.
In the sense of, like, we got to teach him how to buckle his chin strap and stuff, like the helmet. Like, if you watch that highlight, he had his helmet knocked off, his motor kept running, he got to the quarterback and took KJ Jefferson to the ground.
And guess who he got his helmet knocked off by? Perk, because they met at the quarterback.
Mm-hmm. And if you want to play, like, the other side of what Brian... I think a lot of people get upset with the phrasing in which how he says you're not getting on the field, right? It's like you got to do the little things, right? Things that LSU, like things that you don't see if you're not in the building. And I think people are kind of tired of that. I don't want to call it an excuse, but that phrasing of what does that mean? Like, what are the little things that he's not doing whenever you see him play? Like, that's, if you're talking to the fan base as opposed to the player, all LSU fans see your results. And if you keep hampering those results from happening, it's going to be a hot button issue, and you can't really joke about it because people want to see Deshaun Womack play. But in the same sense, I think what Brian Kelly's really is doing is protecting Womack from himself.
100%. And that makes sense from a leadership position. And look, this show was very loud last year about the same thing with Harold Perkins. Right? Like, I mean, you saw somebody who did something great, and you wondered where they were consistently. Once Harold Perkins got out there, a lot of the time, you saw in the run game, he was a liability. And there were teams, Tennessee and others, that really schemed against him to try and take him out of the game. I understand that. And those are freshman moments that are going to happen. Deshaun Womack is a guy that, look, he's obviously very good at getting to the passer. There's something that is limiting his play that the coaches have not yet come around on trusting him completely to put him out there the majority of the time. I get that he's probably deficient in some of the other things that it takes to play the position. And that's ultimately probably what Brian Kelly is saying without saying it.
Right.
But in the same sense, it's got to be more than 5 snaps. Right? I mean, I understand his side of saying, like, if you put him out there for you put him out there for an entire series, he's going to get exposed in some down and distances. Okay. I get that. But there's got to be more than 5 reps for him when in just 5 reps, he can give you all of that.
I think Coach Caskey made a good point yesterday. Like, why don't we see that on – like, they're putting him out there on 3rd down. Why don't we see him and Perk on the edge on 1st down so you can get the offense behind the chains, and then you don't have to worry about him being out there on 3rd down and making a mistake, where you could just let him go on 1st down, let him run, go make a sack. All right, take him out.
And not only that, by the time you get to November, you got experience on an inexperienced guy.
Right.
Right? Like, think about what November feels like for a true freshman and a guy that plays since September.
Yeah.
Right?
You're
I
a
mean, think
sophomore
about
now.
what Will Campbell's November was like last year. Emory Jones, what their November was like last year. Right? Even guys like DeMar Tolian, was just like, man, this guy's gaining invaluable experience that by the time you get to Bama, by the time you get to A&M, these cats have – they've seen it.
You
They
got a chance to
understand what
win.
the speed looks like. They've been on the road in the league. They've been to venues that have 100,000 on national television. All of that stuff that, I mean, you just kind of, you got to see it for the first time.
You kind of overlook it.
Right. I mean, it felt like Will Campbell was a sophomore when he got to Alabama. It was no longer a question mark. It was, he's your bona fide starter. It wasn't, oh, man, young and inexperienced out there on the edge.
Against Will
Anderson.
Yeah.
Like, he went against a bona fide first-round pick, and he wasn't he wasn't a concern.
I could argue that Campbell's best game of his freshman year was Bama.
Yeah. Did he give up a sack?
I don't think he did.
I don't think so either. And speaking of sacks, that's why you want to see Womack. I mean, LSU's not getting pressure on the quarterback. They have 9 sacks this season. That's good for 10th best in the SEC.
And he's got 1 in 5 plays.
Right.
I mean, like
that seems to fix a problem that you have. And it on the other side of the coin, it frees up Perk a little bit to where it doesn't feel like he has to get to the quarterback every time he rushes, or else nobody else is going to get home. LSU's missing that, what you got from B.J. Ojulari last year, like that edge rusher where it was...
You just count on pressure.
Right.
And you knew pressure was going to be there.
And it feels like Womack feels that role a little bit. And I understand, like I agree with you 100%. I think he's bringing him along slowly because he doesn't want Womack the game to start getting fast. And then you're looking around, your head spinning out there, and you're like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing anymore, and then you lose him. I get that. But also, like you said, there's more than 5 opportunities for him, I'd imagine. Like, what's the number? 15? 20?
Yeah.
I feel like he's not going to get in that much trouble in 20 snaps on defense. He can only help.
Not when he's producing at the rate he is now.
And especially going up against I think the Ole Miss will be a great barometer to see where he is, because Ole Miss can hit you both ways. They can either decide to have like a power run game with Judkins, and that's maybe you don't see Womack because that's not the position you want to put him in. But if you get Ole Miss kind of stacked behind the chains like you did last year, let that dog hunt.
Yeah. You get Ole Miss in a situation kind of like the Bengals got the Rams in last night, you got to let that man play. You got to let him eat.
Trey Hendrickson was feasting last night.
Oh, my goodness.
That's all. Matt Stafford knows him very well.
Got
Saw him more than anybody.
Night.
Good Lord. But that's what you can do. If you can get, like LSU did last year where they got ahead on Ole Miss, that's how you beat Ole Miss.
Yeah.
You don't let them dictate the tempo and what the offense looks like. If you take it to them, it's tough for them to kind of play and dictate their style of football against you.
Yep, make Jackson Dart beat you.
Right.
Don't let Judkins beat you. Don't let the run game beat you.
And score.
Remember, Daily, we're brought to you by our friends over at Go Roof, online at GEAUXroof.com. Get in touch with our boys over at Go Roof by just simply logging online or calling them today at 225-927-8300 is the phone number if you want to get in touch with them. Or you can just log onto the website, GEAUXroof.com. That is a beautiful roof every single time. Commercial or residential roofing, they can help you out today. They can also help you out with roofing repairs on either your office or your home. Online at GEAUXroof.com or call them 225-927-8300. You get a 2-year free workmanship guarantee with all new roof installations from our friends over at Go Roof. As we said, easy to find, and when you work with them, you get free quotes. You get a free and quick roof inspection. You get over 15 years of experience, licensed and insured, and proudly been supporting our community since 2005. So get in touch with Go Roof, GEAUXroof.com, GEAUXroof.com, and online the phone number is 225-927-8300. A beautiful roof every single time.
Funny stat. SEC offensive rankings, yards per play. LSU number 1, 7.57 yards per play. Ole Miss number 2, 7.29.
Damn.
And then defensive rankings, yards per play. LSU is 12th with giving up 5.91 yards per play.
Oof.
And Ole Miss is number 5 in the SEC, 4.61. So
Over-under's already at 66.
yeah,
So I think they expect some fireworks from both offenses. And that's kind of where you're at with LSU football right now. You've become an offensive team. Last year, you were very much led by the defense. It felt like this year you're taking it to them offensively, where Jayden Daniels is that's your horse. That's what the combination between Jayden Daniels and Malik Neighbors, that's what's going to win you football games right now. And I firmly believe in Matt House's ability to make second half adjustments. You haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
I thought he would be able to, especially against Arkansas. I thought you would see them kind of put their foot down, and instead it was the offense that came out and scores on the first possession of the second half with another big play to Brian Thomas. But Matt House was the talk of the town last year.
Yeah.
I don't think he forgot how to coach football.
Well, I think, when you see limited movement in game, I think you're kind of handicapped by personnel.
That exactly. I think he knows what he has, and this is what.
It's not like he can't make adjustments.
Right. The adjustment would be some other players, some more players.
Well, and look, Moscona asked a question yesterday, and I thought it was a good question, and then Brian Kelly answered it very pointed, and it kind of put to rest what we've been talking about. It seems like from, like wondering where LaTerrence Welsh is, wondering where, Ashton Stamps is, wondering where other guys that we haven't seen is, and here is Brian Kelly explaining eight about other personnel that could be options on defense.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think there's anybody else that we would bring into the game. We'd like to get, obviously everybody healthy. Getting all of the guys out there physically. Spates obviously is one guy that we'd like to get back out on the field. I think there's some other tweaks that we can do defensively to see that we get guys in the right position and let them influence the game accordingly. There's not another guy that, let's take a red shirt off of a particular player or another guy that's going to get in the rotation. You might see some players play a little bit more, but the group of guys that we have playing on the defensive side of the ball, we just have to play. To me, and we were talking about this from a defensive perspective, we have to do the ordinary things extraordinarily well. And I know that's an overused cliche that we hear so many times, but we're having a tendency of trying to chase too many plays on defense. And what I mean by that, we're trying to make plays that are really not our place to make, and we just need to do our job. And I think once we settle down and just do the ordinary things extraordinarily well, this can be a really good defense because it's shown itself to have resiliency and toughness and the players necessary to do that.
So my takeaway from that is that they played all the players that they think that are the options. And, if they keep running guys out there that are not defending on the back end, you wonder what could be the issue with the other options there. But from that answer, it does. Yeah, Hunter Fournette, Stamps has played. He hadn't played in 3 weeks.
I think he played last week, but it was like a snap.
No, nothing meaningful. I'm talking about give somebody an extended series to go out there, not somebody who's missing a chin strap buckle and you need a player for a play.
Yeah, he deserves at least a series in the first quarter or second quarter, like in the first half of a game. But it's I don't even know what to say back to that quote, because it's like he's basically saying we're gonna continue to play the guys that we've been playing.
No Quincy.
No, where is Quincy?
I don't get it. Hurt? I don't think so. Not that he's dressed out.
Like, you need defensive linemen. Quincy Wiggins is a pretty good defensive lineman.
I've seen him in uniform, so it looks like he's an option.
Looks great in uniform, by the way.
And I think they have made a little, what they've done defensive line-wise, they have made adjustments. You've seen more Jordan Jefferson. Mekhi Wingo is going to play every snap for you. Yeah. Mason Smith, it feels like, is still coming back. It's not the dominant Mason Smith that you thought you were going to get at the beginning of the year, but obviously coming off the knee injury, and when we had the doctor from Oshner, it said that probably has something to do with the ankle injury. When you're trying to protect something, you can, your body,
you could overstress,
kinesiology, it's all one symbiotic being.
Energy's got to go somewhere.
Right. And I didn't know it was a high ankle. I thought it was just an ankle injury. That thing's going to linger for a little bit. But you can see that even when you watch the LSU Gold, you can see him laboring to try to get back into shape. He is still
fighting.
And so I think that in the short term, Jordan Jefferson's a great answer to have, maybe spell Mason Smith so he's not out there as much and he gets tired. They have answers that they could rotate in on the defensive line. I think that is probably where you're going to go. Well, he talks about Jordan Jefferson in this clip, and he's like, dude, he's sudden, he's explosive.
I'd even go as far as saying, like, don't start Mason Smith and let Jordan Jefferson start the game so Mason could come in and be like, have energy, like not be starting the game and just be tired from snap one.
Right, using like you used Deshaun Womack,
right.
Maybe a little bit more, where you can come in with the package of guys that are
fresh
and explosive, and on third downs, 3rd and 5s, where you're having a tough time getting people off the field. Was it 8 of 13 for Arkansas on Saturday? Like, that's where LSU is getting crushed.
Yeah.
That was the difference between the Mississippi State game and the Arkansas game. They got Mississippi State off the field on 3rd down. Arkansas was able to convert on 3rd down consistently, and that's how you either, if you're LSU, that's how you lose a football game, and if you're Arkansas, that's how you sneak up and win a football game.
Yeah. Right.
That's how upsets happen.
I'd even go as far as saying, like, on the 3rd down packages, put, like, slide Xavier Jones inside, go with Makai Wingo, and then put Perkins, Womack, or Swinson on the edges.
Yeah, and I think that's
it's just me.
That's what they got to. I think they'll rotate that defensive line, and then if you can get pressure, I think somebody asked the same question where if you could get pressure, does that help the back end? Because you got one of two things going to have to happen. Obviously, if they feel comfortable with who they're playing on the defense, like on the back end, you would like to see maybe get some pressure to help those guys out, or it's a. He makes it seem as if it's a small adjustment. There's one thing that's kind of missing. It's 10 out of 11 doing everything right. It's always one thing that's off. If that's the case and it's that fixable, I'm excited to see what happens Saturday against Ole Miss.
Here is the update on Greg Brooks from Brian Kelly, as Kelly updating one of the leaders of this team, a captain of this team, a defensive back on this team. Greg Brooks, who the program misses very much in hopes that he is trending in the right directions. This is 23, Stewie, of Coach Kelly speaking about his senior DB out of New Orleans.
Greg is making progress, and all I can tell you is this is such a long and lengthy process. And as of Saturday, which was the last report, I'm going to be there today. I'll go to there today. We've tried to. So many people want to get there, and I'm sure so many here too. But he needs rest. He needs to recover, and when you have a lot of people going there, and it just takes a lot of his energy away from him. So he's starting to make the kind of recovery that his doctors want, and we're just. Obviously every single day we're getting to the point where he's making that recovery necessary for him to be up and around. So we're making progress.
Update there on Greg Brooks, who obviously everybody is keeping in their thoughts right now as he is coming off of brain tumor surgery, and still waiting on the news as they run the biopsy on that. So continue to think about Greg and his family through this very, very difficult time as he gets back to full health and to hopefully to full strength. Remember, Daily, we're brought to you by our friends over at Katie's Restaurant. Katie's is located down in Mid-City in New Orleans on Iberville Street. Katie's has a fantastic menu and has been around since 1984. A very wise and trusted name in food and restaurateur in New Orleans is Katie's. You can check them out, as we said, on Iberville Street, online at katiesinmidcity.com. They've got some of the New Orleans favorites, including the coldest beer in town and great service that you can find on Iberville Street. Check out their sister restaurant, Francesca's, which is located over in Lakeview. Katie's in Mid-City, katiesinmidcity.com, online, and a proud supporter here of the Culotta Show. Love our friends down at Katie's. Great people, Scott Craig and his crew. Remember, we tell you about their new Sunday hours. If you're looking to catch football on Sunday and just kind of post up at a good spot where you can eat and get cold beer, Katie's is a good spot. 6 new televisions, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. every Sunday now, getting you ready for the college football and NFL weekend over at Katie's. New Sunday hours, 10 a.m. until 6 p.m. and online at katiesinmidcity.com. All right, Brooke Kirchhofer is going to be here in a couple of minutes. We're going to talk New Orleans Saints with her. Obviously, a bad loss for the Saints on Sunday. What's the latest on David Carr?
Derek Carr.
I was just looking.
God damn it, David. What is the latest on David Carr? Maybe we'll get an update there.
Big David Carr. What's he ever done?
Oh, God.
Derek Carr. We will get Derek Carr, the latest on Derek Carr, from our friend Brooke Kirchhofer from New Orleans.football, as the Saints will be hosting the Tampa Bay Bucks this Sunday in the Dome. Are they off this Sunday?
No,
they're playing this Sunday.
Yeah, Alvin Kamara's coming back.
Already October 1st?
Right.
Is it?
Jeez, they play him on October 1st.
Yes.
Kamara's message on social media was
the video.
10 out of 10.
Can you bring that up?
Yes.
I mean, that is classic.
Demon home too, man.
Social
right.
media, dude. That
Hey,
is
Ray.
amazing. While Stewie gets that pulled up and Kamara making his return, how about the LSU women's basketball team yesterday making their first practice of the season in front of 2,500 fans? Kim Mulkey was following up Brian Kelly yesterday at the press conference, and those two shared a moment before Mulkey was going onto the microphone, and she was talking about, kind of the anticipation of walking across the street to an open environment practice, and I don't even think she realized that they would have had nearly 3,000 people on campus in the middle of the day on a Monday. I mean, yesterday the practice started well after 1 o'clock, 1:30, and she comes in and is greeted by 2,500 fans and an all-star roster. This team is going to be fun to watch. We've talked about it. We've caught a couple of their pickup games in the offseason down at the practice facility. I mean, as good and as deep as a college team as you can find with all of the skill sets. I think if you were in that practice yesterday, you saw that this is a very complete team, from defensively to personnel to you got ball handlers, you got shooters, you got post players, you got perimeter players, you've got coaching, you've got just about everything you need to get on down the line for a special season and possibly another national championship with this group. I would imagine that they will be the heavy favorite to win the national championship. I'd imagine wherever they show up on the road that there will be throngs of people waiting on them to show up, whether it be for autograph pictures or just to talk trash to them. Because as much as we are going to love this team, I think the country's probably going to hate them.
Lock the gates.
I mean, like,
Mulkey, lock the gates.
I mean, you've got some of the personalities in college sports that people absolutely love and that absolutely hate. I mean, from their coach in Kim Mulkey to their superstar in Angel Reese to a couple of new superstars in Haley Van Lith and Anessa Morrow. I mean, beloved figures down here. Flauget. Michaela Williams is a true freshman who was ranked number 1, number 2 in the country. No matter the service that you look, she's a stud.
That's the one.
She is a stud, man.
They want to worry about Angel Reese and Flauget
and Haley Van Lith. Meanwhile, Michaela Williams going to light you up for 25 a night.
Going behind the back on 3-on-3 tournaments at 18 years old.
They are so good, man. They are so good, and it's going to be fun, man.
How loud do you think that's going to be this year?
A lot.
Like a lot.
Oh, yeah, a lot. Because Mulkey's not running from a microphone. Angel Reese is not running from a microphone.
They're all running towards one.
Haley Van Lith is going to put it in your face that she's on the best team in the country. Michaela Williams is going to, they are going to be loud. And let them start cleaning up and keep cleaning up and recruiting like it seems like they're doing. Our girl over the weekend from South Carolina, I'm hearing great things.
Loves Baton Rouge.
That she's possibly going to make that commitment. If she commits to LSU and they steal one out of South Carolina, not that it's not going in that direction right now. It just kind of is the cherry on top of how good it is going. So make sure and hit that like button, share button, comment button. You got the Kamara yesterday. This is Kamara as he is now back in the Saints facility, and this is what he tweeted out yesterday after.
Home free! Home free! Let's go! Devontae, what you did, boy?
Push-up,
I seen it, boy.
It's the best part.
This is great.
No, it ain't right.
That little Ray.
Man, this ain't right. What the fuck,
That
man?
little Ray.
Hey,
That little Ray.
I love you, boy. Hey, Ray got big as fuck, man.
Ray.
Hey, Demon home too, pussy. Demon home.
I mean, Cabrera had some time on his hands.
He did. He had way too much
bro. Because the editing is fantastic.
Yes. When I saw the second face pop
Me
up, and
too,
it
dude.
was
I lost it.
Derek Carr.
That is from Alvin Kamara's Twitter X page. Follow him. When we come back, we'll talk to Brooke Kirchhofer, who is covering the New Orleans Saints for NewOrleans.football and is a award winner. She is the Louisiana Broadcaster of the Year, according to the Associated Press. Come back with us. We'll talk New Orleans Saints next here with Brooke on the Jordy Culotta Show, built by R&B Builders. Red Stick Sports, a local staple in Baton Rouge to all sports fans, was founded back in 1981 and has remained a family business for over 40 years. Today, they still have the great selection on the floor, but they're also a leader in custom apparel for businesses, sports teams, and other groups. Take it from us, everybody over here at FM Digital Media. They help us out with all of our apparel. Let them help you out today. Go ask for Cody over at Red Stick Sports. Check him out online at redsticksports.biz.
The Jordy Culotta Show is brought to you by A-Bears Lawn Maintenance. Commercial or residential, A-Bears Lawn Maintenance is ready to work. A-Bears can tackle all your homeowners association requirements. Call Blake at 225-485-8022. A-Bears Lawn Maintenance.
In a wreck, Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys is ready to go to work for you. Come meet your team.
I'm your intake specialist. I coordinate your case and connect you with your attorney and paralegal.
That's us, your legal team.
Thanks.
And we'll fight to get you every dollar you deserve.
I'm your settlements and disbursement manager, and I'm here to get you paid on time.
I'm attorney Gordon McKernan. Put our team to work today. Just call us. Get it done.
Hey Tiger fans, when you're traveling through Natchez, Mississippi, make sure to visit Tom and Wright Granning at Go Mart and On The Go Deli, where you can fill up your tank and your belly. Go Mart has clean restrooms, community coffee, an awesome beer cave, and a great selection of anything you may need on your trip. Located at 4 Sergeant Prentice Drive as you're entering Natchez on the left. Also stop by Wardo's Po' Boys at 309 North Broadway on the beautiful Natchez Bluff, where the Po' Boys are so good you'll swear you're in Cajun country.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
All right, buddy. Make it a good shot.
Oh, yeah.
Sticking the roof in.
For a hole in your roof, or a whole new roof, go roof. Roof, roof, go roof.
Hey, Greg, the roof up?
Roof's up. Roof's up. Roof's up.
Roof's up?
Roof's up.
Roof's up!
Beautiful roof every single time. True. True.
Phil's Oyster Bar, a staple of South Louisiana since 1945, located in Southdown Shopping Center and online at philsoysterbar.com. If you log online, you can learn about the private party schedule, the catering menu, and even order online. Daily lunch specials Monday through Friday. Learn about the history when Gus Piazza took it over in the early 70s, made it an absolute stop-in for everyone who came through Baton Rouge, and now Anthony, his son, carrying on the tradition. Phil's Oyster Bar, Southdown Shopping Center, and online, philsoysterbar.com.
Let's Brees back
Listen, let's finish strong. Let's smell greatness from the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
Tuesday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show is always built by RMB Builders. Remember our friends over at Signa Frames. We've got the Drew Brees giveaway, Drew Brees signed jersey giveaway from our friends over at Signa Frames. If you just get over to Signa Frames and follow them on Instagram, give them a comment and tag 3 people in the post, you will be eligible for our Friday, October 13th giveaway. That includes 2 tickets to the Jacksonville New Orleans Saints game on a Thursday night inside the Dome, and that this beautiful Drew Brees jersey that you see sitting right next to me, compliments of our friends over at Signa Frames. Every week, we talk to the state's best, that is the state's best reporter, according to the Associated Press, named Louisiana AP Reporter and Broadcaster of the Year, Brooke Kirchhofer, who covers the New Orleans Saints for NewOrleans.football, which is an absolute army on the black and gold right now that you can find land, sea, and air. They get you any way you can find them, whether it's through audio and podcasting, through writing on the internet, or it is you can see the visual on their YouTube page as well. You can always get your information from NewOrleans.football. Brooke, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, guys. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Brooke, tell me about Sunday. That was brutal.
It's fun until it wasn't.
That was brutal, man. I mean, 17-0, Saints were up. You feel like they're in control. Even as Carr goes out of the game, you kind of feel like they're in a good spot. What happened there?
He made a really good point. It's fun until it wasn't. We saw Jimmy Graham's first touchdown. I believe it was his first touchdown since 2014, December of 2014. It seemed like the offense was slowly improving, and then you see Derek Carr go down in the third quarter, and I'm sure we'll get into that. But when Jameis Winston rolled out to the field, you saw a couple of just quick little passes here and there, but their offense just completely stalled out. A lot of that had to do with their offensive line, and when your starting quarterback goes out in the way he did, that rattles a team. And we saw it rattle not just the offense, the defense, but as well as the special teams. Just a brutal game in Green Bay. It was in their hands. They were up 17-0. You go into the fourth quarter, and it's just an utter collapse. Defense, and then Blake Grupe missing the field goal at the end. And we actually talked to Blake Grupe after the game, and he said he hadn't reviewed the tape yet. Let me get that word out. He said he felt like he blocked himself off and probably could have given himself a better line. That's why he thinks he missed that 46-yard field goal. But man, it was an opportunity for this rookie to prove that he was the right guy for the job, and it just unfortunately didn't go in his way, and the Saints dropped their first game of the season.
It was brutal. What's the latest on Carr? Where do they stand at the quarterback position?
So he has an AC sprain, which is, to be honest with you, best case scenario. We were thinking he might have broken his collarbone. He might have dislocated his shoulder. Then we heard that he was going to the hospital to be evaluated for internal injuries, which, as we know with this team, especially with Marshawn Lattimore's injury last year, you could have a lacerated kidney, a lacerated spleen when you're doing those when you're checking things for internal organs and things like that. So the fact that it's just an AC sprain is really good news for the New Orleans Saints. He's going to be week to week. It's just going to depend on pain management. My biggest question is, what grade is the AC sprain? Drew Brees back in 2014 had a grade 1 AC sprain, and he said he didn't practice all week, didn't throw the ball all week, and then went out and played and was fine. I'm sure he had to do some sort of shot in the arm to help with the pain management. I don't know if that will be the case for Derek Carr, but the good news is he's not going to be out for an extended period of time. I mean, he's most likely not going to be back this Sunday in the Dome, but it wouldn't surprise me given Derek Carr's history. When he's gotten injured in the past, he usually plays through that pain. He's somebody who mentally can get over that hurdle of pain management. So we'll see what happens. I don't think the Saints are going to force him back Sunday because you haven't figured out your offensive line yet. Why are you going to throw a guy out there who was sacked 4 times in week 1, sacked 4 times in week 2, took a third sack for that injury for the AC sprain in week 3. So until you can get this offensive line corrected, you can't put in an injured quarterback behind an offensive line that just can't block.
Yeah. I want to get to the offensive line, but first, Alvin Kamara. Tweet of the year yesterday on his return. But can he cover up some of the holes of this offense? How much does he need to be counted on here?
Yeah, we'll see. So the offensive line hasn't been getting a whole lot of push in week to week. Kendre Miller got his first NFL start. He only rushed for 34 yards. Tony Jones Jr., 31 yards. Taysom Hill only carried the ball 4 times for 12 yards. You would like to think with Alvin Kamara coming back that they're going to be able to get the run game going a little bit more, but it depends on the offensive line, not even really Jameis Winston if he is the quarterback back there. If the offensive line, number one, can't run block, and can't pass protect, it's going to be week after week of kind of holding your breath, like, is another quarterback going to get injured? Mm-hmm. Are they going to be able to move the ball down the field too? I'd like to see just the time of possession. So in Green Bay, in the fourth quarter, the Saints got the ball back with less than 7 minutes to play. All you had to do was burn some clock. They were up 17-11, and you quick 3 and out. Defense runs back out there, and credit to the Green Bay Packers, they drive it right down the field to go up 18-17. But this offense has to help this defense, and I feel like I'm a broken record from last year. As you remember, this defense was playing well, but when you're on the field constantly, it's hard to keep that up. So we'll see if Jameis Winston can, if he is the quarterback Sunday. I do expect they would go with Jameis Winston over Taysom Hill if Derek Carr is out, but no, Alvin Kamara should help. We'll see. It begins and ends with the offensive line, and if they can find Alvin Kamara some holes.
Okay, so the offensive line here, we've talked about it now every week that you've been on, and it kind of feels like the LSU defensive backfield. We talk about it, it seems like every week, and every week we're breaking down the same people making mistakes. It seems like that's kind of now the theme with this offensive line. Do they have other options? Is there room for improvement with other people, or do they have to just be patient with the development of the guys that are in front of them?
I don't even think at this point it's saying it's patience or development, because it's not just Trevor Penning. The entire offensive line was terrible Sunday in Green Bay. We've been glowing about Ryan Ramczyk in the first 2 weeks. He was bad in the game Sunday. Top to bottom, this offensive line has to get corrected. Dennis Allen said the word teach in his post-game interview, essentially calling out the offensive line coach, Doug Marrone, that are we teaching the right things? What are some of the things that we're doing in practice to get ready for the game? And we had a chance to talk with center Eric McCoy, who, like the other guys on the starting offensive line, they were all frustrated. They were all upset in post-game in the locker room, as you can imagine. And Eric said, look, we've been practicing our butts off each week. We feel like we're doing the right things. Something, though, is obviously not working. And when you have, I mean, it's not like there's a size issue. It's not like there's an experience issue with the other 4. Now, Trevor Penning, absolutely, he is still coming along. But my goodness, to see James Hurst, Eric McCoy, they had to put Andres Pete in now because Cesar Ruiz went out with a concussion. He's not going to be available Sunday. To me, it's not necessarily going out and bringing in a veteran offensive lineman. But at this point, what do you have to lose? Yeah. You've got to protect your quarterback. And we've been saying it week after week. It was only a matter of time before Derek Carr potentially got injured on New Orleans Top Football. And unfortunately, it happened in week 3 because they just could not correct the issues on the offensive line.
From a wide receiver standpoint, obviously, Olave, another week of him going up and making plays, and Mike Thomas again seeming like they fit in. From Rashid and Shaheed, the way he impacted the game from a special team standpoint, how do you like that group? That group that was questioned going into the year seems like they've been a very high point here early on.
Yeah, it's frustrating because if you look around the NFL, I'm sure any team would love to have that tandem. Chris Olave, Michael Thomas, Rashid Shaheed. You're going to get Alvin Kamara back. Look at your tight end room. You have Jimmy Graham, Jawan Johnson, and Foster Moreau. Like, it's all there. The talent is there on this offense, but when the offensive line can't put it together, the quarterback and the play. I don't want to put all of it on Derek Carr and Jameis Winston. I mean, the play calling's been incredibly questionable. I don't know if they're going to give help to Pete Carmichael, if they would bring an offensive analyst. That's something I'm keeping my eye out for. I don't think it's necessarily going to happen this week, but man, he needs help back there. Pete Carmichael, number one, hasn't looked confident week to week. What happened to that amazing Derek Carr preseason drive? Remember in week one, or I'm sorry, in the preseason game number one, we have not seen that in a game yet. Like, nothing has been easy. Nothing has looked clean on offense. So, I mean, that has to start with the offensive coordinator as well. Fix the offensive line issues. And I don't know, maybe go get an offensive analyst who can help be creative back there and utilize this really, really talented wide receiver room who we have seen time and time again, them come up clutch. Maybe find Chris Olave and Michael Thomas and Rashid Shaheed early down the field. I don't know what it's going to take, but they've continued to talk about wanting to start fast. They just can't do it. I haven't been able to do it through week 3.
I know he does not have the best reputation in the league, but he's been hanging around the Saints facility. Is John Gruden an option?
Well, they brought him in for training camp, and Dennis Allen continued to say over and over again, look, this does not mean he is an extension of our coaching staff. He is here to help Derek Carr, kind of get him comfortable. Also, maybe a language barrier between Pete Carmichael and Derek Carr as far as football language, because of course we know John Gruden and Derek Carr were like this and just worked really well together. Gruden figured out what worked for Derek Carr, and he did have some success when they worked together. So maybe that's why Dennis Allen said they brought John Gruden in. But look, you already brought him in. You already dealt with kind of the issues. I don't need to get into the whole John Gruden isn't necessarily the best guy given all the things that he has said. Outside of that, he is a really, really good offensive mind in the NFL. Now it's a matter of, is John Gruden, does he want to, wherever he's at, I don't think he's working right now. He might be just working with quarterbacks or different things like that right now. What is the benefit in him coming to New Orleans and collecting probably a smaller paycheck as an offensive analyst? That's probably the bigger question.
Brooke, one of the high points and bright spots has been Alontae Taylor through the first part of the season on defense. When you look at his past performance or him playing opposite of Marshawn Lattimore, how do you see him developing in year 2?
So I think he's actually been getting away with a couple of off plays. He's more of he's either going to make this incredible play or he's going to miss one that will lead to a potential score. But he's still developing as that slot cornerback. Of course, we saw him kind of move with Isaac Yiadom, with Paulson Adebo out. Both of them kind of were in outside corner throughout the game. It looked like it looked like Alontae Taylor was more in the slot. That's really where the Saints want to continue to see him improve and have him stay in that role. But he's coming along. It's just the being consistent throughout the entire game. If you go back and watch the first quarter, there were a couple times that if Jordan Love would have seen his open man down the field, this could have been a blowout early on for the Green Bay Packers. I think a lot of that has to do with this was Jordan Love's first time starting in Lambeau Field, maybe a little bit of jitters. He's also younger. Now, if you had a veteran quarterback back there, they would have absolutely taken advantage of a couple of the guys that just got beat downfield. I remember one tight end just split the safeties, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, how did Jordan Love not see him? They'd be up right now. And then there was another moment in the game where another wide receiver was wide open, and it would have been for a score. So there's still some question marks with Alontae Taylor and him being consistent, but you were down Marcus May, who is serving. He served the first game of his 3-game suspension. Paulson Adebo was out with injury that wasn't necessarily serious, so we could see Paulson Adebo back into the mix this week. But Alontae Taylor, I need to see a little bit more from him.
Brooke, how good is the defense? I mean, I know that the stats, the personnel, the numbers seem to bear out that they're really, really good. How good are they championship level good?
I want to mention that when Derek Carr went out, that rattled the entire team, because up to that point, the defense has just been playing lights out. They're not giving up a lot of points through week 3. It's been top to bottom, just a really, really solid defense. Of course, I mentioned Alante Taylor is still maybe that one little missing piece that we want to see more consistency from. But my goodness, the defensive line has been getting after the quarterback. Carl Granderson has been having a breakout year. He definitely is earned all of that money of that new contract. Cam Jordan somehow has found the fountain of youth, as well as Demario Davis. Pete Werner looks great in the defense. Yeah, it's another frustrating year of can the offense complement the defense? The defense is that good. I don't want to say they're Super Bowl caliber defense yet, but man, if they can continue to keep up and keep teams off the board and allow the offense to seemingly get things along, this is going to be look, they could still win 10 games. I know it's a little scary right now with Derek Carr out, but I could see this team going on a run in the playoffs if they get it together based on what we've seen from the defense. And that is a credit to Dennis Allen, who I don't think has been given enough credit because he did keep Pete Carmichael and the offense just isn't really working. But man, this defense led by Dennis Allen has just been incredible to watch.
Any concern here on Grupe on how he react? I mean, this is the first big kick he's missed in his career. Any mental drawback from this?
I don't think so. I was really impressed with him that he stood in and kind of was at his locker and was like, come on, I'll talk about it. And for a rookie kicker who lost the game, for a tough game for this team, that at least it would have been, I mean, you lose your quarterback, it would have helped the team as far as morale if he makes that kick and moving on from that game. But no, I'm not concerned. The guy's really, really confident. He knows his ability. The team knows his ability. It wasn't a matter of, they went with the younger guy because he was cheaper. Like, no, Blake Grupe beat out Will Lutz for that kicker position. Let's not forget. And Will Lutz, as we've seen in Denver, has missed a few kicks. He missed the one extra point that would have taken the Broncos to overtime had they won that game in week 1. So it's a really frustrating miss for Blake Grupe. It's not going to be the last. No kicker is perfect, but Saints Nation would have liked to see him step up and the real first pressure cooker moment, make that kick and they win the game. I think he's going to be better after this. I think this is honestly this early in the season. It's probably good that he's feeling this. So we'll see what happens moving forward, but I think he'll be just fine and he'll rebound from this.
NewOrleans.football, as we said, great podcast, great YouTube channel, and of course the website at NewOrleans.football where you can keep up with all things Saints. Brooke and the team do a great job with Nick Underhill leading the charge over there. Brooke, it's great to see you on this Tuesday. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, Jordy. See you next week.
All right, there she is checking in this morning. Brooke Kirchhofer from NewOrleans.football laying down the latest there on the Saints as they are looking to bounce back after a bad loss at Lambeau last Sunday. Will or will they not have their quarterback in Derek Carr? They got good news that it was just an AC sprain. As Brooke said, you kind of wait to see the degree of the sprain, but as far as what could have been, broken collarbone, bad shoulder injury, this is good. This is a kind of a best case scenario for the Saints, as hopefully they can get him back. They've got to clean up that offensive line. The offensive line is going to get anybody killed that they put behind those guys right now.
Terrible timing for all of this to happen too, with your next division game being the Bucs, who seem to be the other part of the NFC South that you might be contending for to win the division, and now you might not have your starting quarterback going to the first time you play him.
Baker Cook.
Beat bad last night, huh?
Oh yeah,
Coach, that's Jalen Carter's got to be the steal of the draft.
Oh my goodness!
I mean,
how did they let him fall to
How did that guy? I mean, he looks. I saw Tyrann Mathieu tweeted out like Jalen Carter's got Chris Jones type potential. Yeah. This guy is going to be he was like, this guy's going to be a killer. I mean, he is a wrecker. Would they get him at 9?
I think it was 10.
Oh.
Because he had a bad combine.
No, it was because of the story at
the stuff with Georgia.
When he was in that car accident with the girl. I mean, it was. But I mean, all the way up to that, he was the number 1 pick.
Right, yeah. And then he falls all the way to 10.
The Eagles scouting department.
Yeah.
Oh, I think they have a tried and true method of draft a Georgia Bulldog. They have 6 of them.
Right. I mean, we've seen teams like the Cleveland Browns. They went all in on LSU for a while. Right? Like, you've seen teams that have just said, like, hey, just take the best player from that school.
Yeah, give me those guys.
Remember, Daily, we're brought to you by Ochsner Andrews Sports Medicine. It doesn't matter if you're a pediatric athlete. It doesn't matter if you're a pediatric patient, a high school athlete, or a member of the New Orleans Saints and Pelicans. If you're a weekend warrior or a senior citizen, we all turn to Ochsner Andrews Sports Medicine Institute for care. They've been serving Louisiana and Mississippi residents and beyond. And now they're ready to help you get past whatever sports injury you face. Every single day, they have somebody ready to help you out. Customized care for one-of-a-kind patient. The injury clinic on Saturday mornings that we always tell you about is open 8 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. over at the Grove Complex right off of Bluebonnet. If you want to find out more about the Ochsner Sports Medicine Institute, log online, ochsner.org/sports medicine. We will pick back up the LSU conversations when we come back. Wilson Alexander, another award winner, broadcaster, will stop by here. Brooke, of course, the Louisiana AP Broadcaster of the Year. Wilson Alexander, the Edward Aschoff, ESPN Rising Star in Media, joins us next here to talk LSU. We'll react to what Brian Kelly had to say yesterday in his press conference. We'll also look ahead to Ole Miss and the Rebels hosting LSU this weekend in Oxford. What does Wilson think about it, and how weird is that 11 a.m. kick going to be in Missouri a week from Saturday? That was announced by the league yesterday that LSU and Missouri are going to kick off 11 a.m. That is the same day as the fishing rodeo down in St. Bernard Parish with Boot Crew Media and the Culotta Show. Still an opportunity to get signed up if you want to get signed up here with a little bit of a late entry, but we will be watching the game at the launch. We will have LSU Missouri. We'll have food. We'll have music. We'll have fun. It's going to be a good time. Log online, bootcrewmedia.com. All you got to do is hit up the fishing rodeo, get involved. You can become you can jump into the field as a fisherman, or you can become a part of it as a sponsor. All over at bootcrewmedia.com. Looking forward to linking up with that crew next week for our fishing rodeo. They've done this 4 times. It's our inaugural event, and we're really looking forward to going down there and taking it all in. So if you want to check it out, you can online, bootcrewmedia.com, and we'd love to see you down there, a part of our first fishing rodeo here on the Culotta Show. All right, we'll come back and talk to Wilson Alexander next here, as daily we are built by RMB Builders. Remember, RMB Builders online at rmb-builders.com. If you're in the market for a mortgage lender, you need to start with Doug Bickley and his team. Bickley has built a crew with over 50 years of combined lending experience. They've been in business for over 20 years, and they love helping their clients achieve the American dream of home ownership. They're also key with working in real estate agents and helping their clients getting same-day pre-approval. They average about 1 buyer a day getting them in a home. If you want to get in touch with Doug and his crew, it's easy. Call them 225-214-5154. 225-214-5154. Go see the Bickley team today. They're located on the corner of Coursey Boulevard and Sherwood Forest right here in Baton Rouge.
What's up?
What's happening?
Chilling with a couple of cool guys. You?
Chilling and watching some tube. Hold on.
Did you do it?
Hold on. Did you do it?
Roof's up.
Hold on.
Roof's up?
Roof's up!
Roof's up!
Hold on. Hold on. Hold on.
Beautiful roof every single time.
True. True.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Are you looking for sound financial advice? Then get in touch with Daniel Newman of Edward Jones. You can call him today at 225-261-8262 or email him daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. If you're planning for retirement, saving for college for children or grandchildren, or just looking for sound investment opportunities, get in touch with Daniel today, 225-261-8262, located on Magnolia Square Drive in Central. Daniel Newman of Edward Jones.
You can't put the cart before the horse. That'd be like, will you marry me?
Do I know you?
Never sign a contract with a roofer before he gets on your roof. Call Go Roof instead. We offer a free, no-obligation inspection.
A beautiful roof every single time.
Bobby, goes in the front.
Go Roof.
Belmont Stakes Race Training. I'm sticking to roofing.
Roof, go Roof.
Kentucky Derby Training. I'm sticking to roofing.
Roof, go Roof.
Offensive player of the game from LSU, Joe Burrow.
Football is life. Football is Joe Burrow.
You have found the Jordy Culotta Show.
Who knew I would make it this far? They hated, they never believed me. Yeah, I would never drop the ball. I know I make it look easy. Yeah, Mayweather with the defense. I don't care what a critic got to say. I got them picking up the pieces. That mean you really playing with your life. I'm about to come and run it all back. I'm the new era, about to snap back. You ain't fitting for it because you all cap like. Hold up, I shoot my shot. Wait, hold up.
But the Pope is Jordy.
When it go up, moving fast, already gone. Yeah, but you bringing me back. Try to double cross me, dog. Just let me relax. Stop assuming what we doing.
The Jordy Culotta Show, brought to you by Click Here Digital. Great write-up by our friend Wilson Alexander in this morning's Advocate, NOLA.com. You can read it everywhere. You can find it on his Twitter account, his X account, WH_Alexander is where you find our next guest. He's here with us every Tuesday. And, of course, he covers LSU football for NOLA.com and the Advocate. And he's with us here every week. It is always good to link up with our guy, Wilson Alexander, award winner. Of course, we tell you, ESPN's Rising Star, named the Edward Aschoff media member who was the recipient this year and with us every week. Wilson, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, all. Good to be with you as always.
Good write-up this morning on the defense and a little insight to what you learned over the weekend and to what you heard Brian Kelly say about that unit yesterday that you may think they may be improving or developing on that side of the ball. What do you see?
Well, he seems to think so. At least he continues to have faith that they will. Whether or not they're actually going to, who knows, right? I mean, let's see kind of how things play out. Clearly, this defense is effective when they are able to get a pass rush and get after a quarterback who's a little bit more sedentary in the pocket, with Will Rogers being that way. And it wouldn't have probably played out at least somewhat similar, not exactly the same as Mississippi State, if they had been able to at least get KJ Jefferson on the ground.
Right.
Without being able to do that, that's when you start to open up holes in the secondary and expose that group, which, as we all know, is a concern. So when they're able to get a pass rush, yeah, it can be a pretty good defense, and that seems to be a big piece of it. And there also is just like a few things that if they can find a way to clean them up, then maybe it gets better. Like, but a few, just sticking to your assignments. And that's basically what Brian Kelly said, was if they do the ordinary things extraordinarily well, which, as he even mentioned, is a cliche, he thinks that they can be pretty good defensively. And a lot of that happens with, like, Zy Alexander just sticking to his man, Lucas Haas, on the 59-yard touchdown, or Greg Penn being in the right spot in coverage on the touchdown, again later to Haas in the fourth quarter. Guys making tackles in space is a big thing, especially coming down from the safety spots. So if those little things can get better, then they can make some marginal improvement, and then maybe we can see a little bit of a better defense. Is it going to be elite? Probably not, but maybe there are little areas where it can start to get better, and that seem attainable.
One of the small tweaks that seems like could be a change, or one that they've already started to transition into, is playing more of Jordan Jefferson on the defensive line. He is quick twitch. He has got a first step that is hard to keep up with. What do you anticipate his role becoming here as they move further into SEC play?
I'm really curious to see for myself as well, like just how much he is a bigger part of the rotation, because he's been graded out by PFF, which, take that sometimes with a grain of salt, but as their highest and best run defender and one of the best in the SEC in that regard. He has been really effective. He's got a super quick get off. He's physical at the point of attack, and he was disruptive when he had snaps in that game against Arkansas. And we've seen it now for a few games like that, especially as Mason Smith continues to come back off of that knee injury, which is still just taking him time to get back into form. They might be playing Jordan Jefferson a little bit more, especially Brian Kelly said in their sort of the nose guard and their 3-down fronts. I would expect to see him in that role quite a bit. But is he going to overtake Mason Smith as the starter, or just simply carve out more time in that rotation is kind of what we'll have to see here against Ole Miss and over the next few weeks, because they still believe in Mason Smith. It's just a matter of getting him healthy, like fully back into form again. It's not that he's not healthy, but he's, still knocking that off. I mean, this is a guy who had two injured his ankle and then re-aggravated it in fall camp after coming off of the ACL. And so it seems like it's just kind of taking him a little bit of time to get back into form.
Deshaun Womack made a hell of an opportunity, took advantage of his opportunity last week and limited reps in creating a lot of havoc. What did you make of Brian Kelly's answer yesterday when asked about Womack and asked what his input is going to be after such a good performance on that side of the ball on Saturday?
Well, Kelly said, of course, that Womack is not ready to be a starter, but that he can make a difference for them. And that makes sense. People might be like, well, why not just throw him right in there and start him, because he looks so effective in those 5 snaps. This is a guy who needs to continue to develop. He is physically extremely gifted. As a high schooler, he had just ridiculous numbers as a senior at St. Francis Academy in Baltimore, which plays a national schedule. He was a 5-star for a reason, and you're starting to see why. You also saw in preseason camp that he needed to come along. There was moments when he was getting flattened by LSU's talented tackles. Emory Jones, there was a couple reps there in particular where he was just handling him. And that was very, very early in camp. But at that moment, he needed to continue to develop. And, now he's starting to get some snaps, but he needs to kind of continue to develop. And we keep saying that over and over again, but it's because he does. He is somebody who they had kind of between playing jack linebacker and defensive end, and now he's looking like a stand-up edge rusher, maybe more of a jack in their dime and nickel packages. I mean, he can be very effective in that role as a pass rusher, but he's not necessarily someone you might want to leave out on the edge just yet. In run defense, maybe he's not a 3-down player right now, but that's okay. It's not a bad thing in terms of what he's able to do. But after he did what he did in those 5 snaps, you would expect to see him even more in very obvious pass rush situations.
Jayden Daniels named SEC Co-Offensive Player of the Week for the 2nd consecutive week. This week he shares it with Spencer Rattler. Last week it was with his teammate Malik Neighbors. How good is the quarterback position being played in Baton Rouge right now?
It's been being played very well, and it was so encouraging to see Jayden Daniels get off to a bad start and then find it along the way, because that was not the case last year when he was having a bad game. Think back to Auburn and Arkansas in particular come to mind immediately. He wasn't able to find it over the course of a game. You're a quarter and a half, almost 2 full quarters into the game this time, and he still hasn't really found it yet. And then it just suddenly clicks. And he said it wasn't even anything in particular. He just sort of like kept believing in himself. I'm going to find it. And then he did. He was able to kind of get his footwork back into the way that it needs to be for him to be successful there. Stopped kind of rushing his footwork and then rushing his throws and playing a little bit more of his proper rhythm. And, it was not perfect. It wasn't as good as he played last week against Mississippi State, but he still goes for 320 yards and 4 touchdowns. When you look across the SEC right now in particular, Jayden is the best quarterback in the league. And I don't know how you would really argue with somebody else. I mean, Spencer Rattler is playing well. KJ is good. But Daniel's numbers bears out that a month into the season, he's playing at a pretty high level, especially over the last couple of weeks. And especially with LSU doing like the way it is defensively right now, it's giving LSU a chance to win every game if he can continue to produce at a high level, because when he is, the offense, as we know, goes all the way through him in every manner, and that lets this group execute at a high level and start to reach its ceiling.
He has always been a great decision maker under center. What is it? Because it feels like his game is taking the next step. Is it the big play now? Is that what is kind of made him feel like? Because he feels like the best quarterback in the league too.
Yeah, it definitely, the big play, the explosive play, is kind of been that next step that he's been able to take. Last year, Jayden's yards per attempt was 7.5, which was the lowest in his career, and a sign that he wasn't pushing the ball downfield, as we all know. I would need to check the updated number, but coming out of the Mississippi State game, it was 10.3, which was the highest of his career. Just a really sudden flip there on that in that regard. He's attacking those one-on-one matchups. We saw him trying to do it the first couple of weeks, but not always having success. He's doing it more so over the last 2 games, especially Mississippi State, as we all know, with what he was able to do with Malik Neighbors in one-on-one matchups. But when he's identifying those one-on-ones, he's taking them. Even though the first 2 deep balls didn't get completed, the one that bounced off Malik's face mask because it was underthrown a little bit, and the one to Brian Thomas that was definitely underthrown. Even some of the other ones weren't great. Brian Thomas had to come back to the ball on that second touchdown pass, but Jayden at least gave him the chance to go make a play. And these receivers are so talented that he understands, and that all he has to do is go give them a chance to make a play, and they probably will. And that's probably been the big difference in this offense, is his ability to stretch the field.
Do you anticipate seeing Mason Taylor more this weekend? I know that Brian Kelly announced yesterday on Feinbaum that he was right around like 60-70%. What do you anticipate his role to be this weekend if he goes?
Yeah, he will continue. As long as he's able to go, he'll be that starting tight end. And as long as he is getting healthier, which you would probably think that he would just naturally week by week get healthier, then he'll continue to be a bigger part of this offense. You know, he only had 3 catches for 33 yards against Arkansas. Wasn't a big piece of that team offensively in that game, but like you said, Kelly said he was between 60 and 70% health. And so if he's getting closer up to 80 to 90 to 100, then he'll be even more involved offensively. Of course, right now LSU is throwing deep to Malik and to Brian Thomas right now quite a bit. But if they can get Mason involved too, then because he's probably their number 3, target at this point. Even though the numbers, I don't know if they exactly bear that out, but we know how much Jayden trusts Mason on those underneath routes and intermediate throws, and he is going to be a big piece of his team offensively as he gets healthier.
Wilson, I know you do film study and you rewatch the game. What do you make of how they're using Mekhi Wingo? Obviously, he is their most dominant defender right now, but they are really starting to move him around. He got some good reps at defensive end the other night. What do you think how they're using him moving forward?
Yeah, there was a rep on Arkansas's second drive, and the play didn't end well because this was when it was 3rd and 10 and KJ Jefferson picked up 25 yards. But Mekhi Wingo was playing defensive end over the right tackle and pushed the right tackle just into KJ Jefferson. And I mean, Mekhi himself said on Twitter later that he was frustrated that he didn't finish on that play because he very well could have. The physicality from that spot to literally just bull rush, and like the right tackle fell into KJ Jefferson, and KJ Jefferson, who as we saw all night, just kind of escaped. He had a bunch of space open in the middle, juked Andre Salmon, getting 25 yards. But Mekhi Wingo was playing out like a defensive end, and that was something that happened fairly often throughout that game, especially in pass rush moments. They had him out on the end. We saw it even in the Citrus Bowl last year, him play out there. And it was something that when we talked to him over the last year, he said he was capable of doing, was playing out kind of as a 5 technique all the way down, not quite to the 0. He's not a nose guard, but down to defensive tackle. He's just got a lot of versatility in his game, and they're starting to really tap into that by playing him all across the line of scrimmage in different moments.
Is it a fair criticism of Brian Kelly that he does not play the best players every single week? Is that a fair analysis of this staff?
I don't know, because they're seeing somebody. They're not going to just hold somebody out in most cases simply because they aren't talented. I say in most cases because we saw Denver Harris obviously didn't play week 1. He is one of their most talented corners, but that's kind of a layered issue there early in the season, and there was obviously things that we talked about before going off the field that needed to get sorted out in order for him to play on the field, because that is a piece of it with Kelly and every player, is that they have to be doing the things off the field correctly for him to trust them, and trust is a big piece between a coach and his players. And also in situations like with Deshaun Womack that we're talking about, and some other guys where it's maybe taking them a couple weeks to get on the field, but weeks maybe another example of that is that, they are, I think, especially early in the season, we're looking to experience more than youth. And then as the season goes along, they start to see that sometimes the youth kind of needs to overtake that in a few different moments. And so I don't think that they're, saying, oh, you're young, we're not going to play you, because we've seen them play freshmen before, or they're not going to just really refuse to play a most talented player on this team. They need to win football games. So I think that they're also seeing things at practice that we just don't see. They watch these guys throughout the week. But also as we continue to go along, these talented guys like we're seeing, like Deshaun and some of the other freshmen, they're getting onto the field and they'll continue to do so. So I kind of understand the critique, but I don't think it's maybe completely fair in a lot of cases, because I do think that they're trying to get the best guys on the field. Sometimes coaches don't, obviously, but usually they're seeing a lot of things, more things in practice than we are.
This is a high-flying Ole Miss offense that LSU is pulling into Oxford to face. They were grounded a bit last weekend in Tuscaloosa, but Jackson Dart, Lane Kiffin, and this crew. What do you make of this matchup?
It's going to be tough. The over is something like 63 66. Or something like that. 66. Thank you, Lloyd.
Oh, yeah.
In this game,
count on me, Wilson.
Might. I always can, man. I thought that LSU was going to maybe cover last week, so what do I know? But it looks like a game that could potentially, hit that over the way that the LSU's defense is playing and the way that, LSU is playing offensively. Ole Miss is going to be a tough matchup. They're right behind LSU at second in the league in points scored per game at 42. LSU's at 42.8. So if these offenses continue to click like that, then this will be a high-scoring game. Obviously, we saw, though, Ole Miss only scored 10 points at Alabama last week. Alabama had a great defensive game plan and started to look like itself on the side, certainly on the defensive side of the ball in particular. And they really made life tough. It's interesting what's going on at Ole Miss right now. Like, Quinshon Judkins wasn't a big piece of that game last week, which was kind of strange. It seems like they probably need to get him more touches after what we saw him do as a freshman. Jackson Dart has been an effective quarterback, better than last year, but still has his moments where he maybe doesn't make quite the best decision or a little bit of an errant throw. But something that might be interesting to watch over the course of in that game, particularly on Saturday, is the fact that he is a runner. He's run 44 times this year for over 200 yards and 3 touchdowns, and we've seen LSU struggle with multiple quarterbacks and obviously didn't do a great job of bringing down KJ. But Jackson isn't 250 pounds like KJ is. He's 220. He's a big guy, but that 30-pound difference is certainly significant in this situation. And so that'll be a big thing to watch is, can LSU get him on the ground when he does take off? Because after not being able to do so very effectively against Arkansas, that could be a big thing that changes on this defense if it's simply able to get the quarterback on the ground.
Is this do you see this as a situation where you kind of see Harold Perkins' breakout game, where you saw what happened against Ole Miss last year, where Lane Kiffin was asked what changed whenever LSU was able to run away with it? It's like, well, they put 40 on the field. Obviously, it feels like Harold Perkins can make an impact, and is this a game where he can get back to kind of that spy, lurk, and go attack a quarterback, as opposed to what you've seen him kind of be thrust into being, whether it be on the edge or as a spy, just kind of get him back to being who Harold Perkins is?
Yeah, Lane said, I wish that they would put him back at inside linebacker. And obviously any other coach would, and we see why LSU doesn't have him there anymore. I thought that they might do that some against Arkansas because of how effective he has been as a spy and what KJ brought as a runner, and we didn't see it there. Are they just going to change that up? I don't know, because after that Florida State game, when they moved him out to that nickel Sam outside linebacker role that we've seen him in ever since, that's where he's been, and they've rushed him off the edge at times too, but they haven't shown any signs of that changing. And if they were to change that, then they would once again need to sort of fundamentally change defensively, because then when they put him out there, they started playing a 4-3-4, and they had opened up the season in a 4-2-5 that we saw a ton last year as well, in order to defend some of those spread teams with a bunch of receivers on the field. So if you bring him down to be a spy, then you got to do different things in a secondary or behind him in some way, that is maybe exposes that secondary. I'm just kind of spitballing here, but I could see why maybe that's some of the thinking going on, that if they don't bring him down in that scenario as much, then it's because probably the secondary, they don't want to do that. It might help maybe that they're getting Omar Speights back. Maybe you can think of some ways to have, we expect him to be back in this game. He was listed as probable on Monday, but Kelly also listed him as probable the previous 2 weeks on Monday, and he didn't end up playing. So we'll see exactly how that kind of goes over the course of the week. But maybe you can do a 3 linebacker thing with, Greg Penn and Whit Weeks and Omar and bring Harold down or something. I don't know. I'm curious to see that same thing as well because he's so effective in it, and you've got these mobile quarterbacks. Why not try and do that more? But it would have to sort of fundamentally change what we've seen them doing schematically over the last few weeks.
Last one, Wilson, get you out of here. How big of a deal is it that LSU and Missouri are kicking off at 11 a.m.?
And I mean, not a huge deal. It is sort of one of those things, though, where this was already starting to look like more of a game that you had to pay attention to and maybe start to be concerned about. Missouri being 4-0 at this point will probably be 5-0 because they play Vanderbilt this week. Going into that game, they've been really solid. They're now ranked in the top 25. Does it help one way or another? Maybe it helps that you're not going on the road in a night game. You also are dealing with a potentially sort of that sleepy 11 a.m. atmosphere on the road in the middle of Missouri. So we'll just kind of have to see how it bears itself out. This is another 11 a.m. game that Brian Kelly is going to have to get the team ready for. He was able to do that against Mississippi State really effectively. I don't know if there's another pit stop to make on wherever they're staying in Missouri on the way to the game, but maybe they'll do something like that again to kind of get them ready.
Great to see you, Wilson. Hair looks fantastic. We'll see you next Tuesday.
See you guys.
Wilson Alexander, NOLA.com, the advocate covering LSU football. Nobody does it better. Make sure to follow him online at WHAlexander_ to keep up with all of the news. Remember, daily we're brought to you by Hughes Mechanical. Our friends over at Hughes Mechanical can service your AC and HVAC for you today, whether that is commercial or whether it is residential. Get in touch with Travis Hughes and the crew over at Hughes Mechanical at hughesmechanical.net is where you can find them online. They're located in Zachary, but they serve all of South Louisiana, from the North Shore to New Orleans, over to Lafayette, Baton Rouge. They're located in Zachary, and you can find them. Great Daikin dealer, trusted Daikin dealer over there with Hughes Mechanical. They've got the great warranty that you can find out about. Call Travis and the crew, 225-658-2147, 225-658-2147. Online, hughesmechanical.net. Doesn't matter if it's commercial or residential. Get in touch with them, hughesmechanical.net online, or call them, 225-658-2147. We'll be back and close it out here on the Jordy Culotta Show, where every day we're built by R&B Builders.
Malik Neighbors, a wide receiver.
Favorite pregame meal?
Popeyes.
What would winning a national championship mean to you?
It would mean a lot to me because, we seen a lot of the greats come through here, won their national championship, got, remembered for life.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Probably fly. That or telekinesis.
What's the best piece of advice that you've ever received?
Do it wrong, do it long, do it right, do it light.
Kyra Lacey, wide receiver, number 2.
Do you have any nicknames?
K2.
What's the best piece of advice that you've ever been given?
Stay humble.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Fly. I be flying in my dreams.
What's been the highlight of your partnership with us?
The bike giveaway was one of the best things. I was pretty excited about that one. Texas A&M, I just got a point to prove because last year I dropped 2 balls I should have caught. I'm coming for them for real.
That's it. Thank you, man.
My name is Harold Perkins, and I play linebacker.
What's your favorite pre-game meal or snack?
Pasta with a little steak, something that's not too heavy.
Any superstitions or pre-game rituals?
I pray a lot. Just be me and God before the game. Perky worky. I like when they call me the percolator. I like that.
If anyone gets in a wreck, who should they call?
Gore.
Thanks. Where were you born at, Greg?
Hattiesburg, Mississippi. But I claim 5-0 food because I was raised there my whole life. Favorite type of food is spaghetti. But you need to try spaghetti with some corn on the side. Funniest person, I'd probably get Kyron Lacey. He be having joked out every time I talk to him.
Who's the most athletic?
Besides myself, Malik. If future self, just take one day at a time, one step at a time. If you're doing something, just be where your feet are. Make sure you give 100% effort.
What is something on your bucket list?
Win a Super Bowl. That's definitely on my bucket list.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Time traveling.
Who's the fastest on the team?
Like in a short span, I would say quick trigger, I'm taking Perk. One thing most people don't know about me, probably that I moved 12 times growing up, 12 different states.
Who's the most savage on the team?
Mason Smith, definitely.
And who gets it done?
Gordon.
Thank you, man. That's great.
Emory Jones, right tackle.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Got it from my mom, and she just told me, always keep your head on the swivel.
Favorite subject?
Math, easy. I kind of keep it light. Give me some type of red beans or something like that. Throw a little cornbread on the side.
Light with red beans.
Yeah, just a little bit. I am superstitious. I got some PSDs that's purple and yellow and white. I wear them every game. I feel like they my lucky draws, and you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna keep doing it.
Let's be special. Let's be strong. Let's smell greatness from the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
Red Stick Sports, a local staple in Baton Rouge to all sports fans, was founded back in 1981 and has remained a family business for over 40 years. Today, they still have the great selection on the floor, but they're also a leader in custom apparel for businesses, sports teams, and other groups. Take it from us, everybody over here at FM Digital Media. They help us out with all of our apparel. Let them help you out today. Go ask for Cody over at Red Stick Sports. Check him out online at redsticksports.biz.
The Jordy Culotta Show is brought to you by A-Bears Lawn Maintenance. Commercial or residential, A-Bears Lawn Maintenance is ready to work. A-Bears can tackle all your homeowners association requirements. Call Blake at 225-485-8022. A-Bears Lawn Maintenance.
In a wreck, Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys is ready to go to work for you. Come meet your team.
I'm your intake specialist. I coordinate your case and connect you with your attorney and paralegal.
That's us, your legal team.
Here you go.
Thanks. And we'll fight to get you every dollar you deserve.
I'm your settlements and disbursement manager, and I'm here to get you paid on time.
I'm attorney Gordon McKernan. Put our team to work today. Just call us. Get it done.
Hey Tiger fans, when you're traveling through Natchez, Mississippi, make sure to visit Tom and Wright Granning at Go Mart and On The Go Deli, where you can fill up your tank and your belly. Go Mart has clean restrooms, community coffee, an awesome beer cave, and a great selection of anything you may need on your trip. Located at 4 Sergeant Prentice Drive as you're entering Natchez on the left. Also stop by Wardo's Po' Boys at 309 North Broadway on the beautiful Natchez Bluff, where the Po' Boys are so good you'll swear you're in Cajun country.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
All right, buddy. Make it a good shot.
Oh, yeah. Sticking the roof in.
For a hole in your roof, for a whole new roof, go roof. Roof, roof, go roof.
Hey, Greg, the roof up?
Roof's up. Roof's up. Roof's up.
Roof's up?
Roof's up.
Roof's up!
Beautiful roof every single time. True. True.
Phil's Oyster Bar, a staple of South Louisiana since 1945, located in Southdown Shopping Center and online at philsoysterbar.com. If you log online, you can learn about the private party schedule, the catering menu, and even order online. Daily lunch specials Monday through Friday. Learn about the history when Gus Piazza took it over in the early 70s. made it an absolute stop-in for everyone who came through Baton Rouge, and now Anthony, his son, carrying on the tradition. Phil's Oyster Bar, Southdown Shopping Center, and online, philsoysterbar.com.
Let's be special. Let's be strong. Let's smell great. From the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Welcome back. Tuesday edition, Jordy Culotta Show. Make sure and give us that like. If you don't mind, share. We appreciate all the comments and interaction. Good stuff today as always on a Tuesday. Brooke and Wilson, fantastic information both on the Saints and on LSU. Remember, hit us up on social media at Culotta Show to keep up with all the highlights from today's show and beyond. We appreciate you always being there. Remember, Tiger Air, our friends over at Tiger Air, we've got the Zephyr model here, the Game Day Zephyr model, the purple and gold edition with the fantastic logo of Tiger Air, keeping you cool, whether it's in the stadium, at the ballpark, or just walking around. You need it at the desk, wherever you are.
At the bar.
Online, tigerair.com, TIGERAIRE.com. Look, they developed this product. This is like G-String in them. Greg Stringfellow and them developed the product of the air condition in the helmet, right? That was kind of like major news, and you can see those helmets. I believe Florida State has some. Obviously, LSU has some. LSU hasn't played in them yet.
Florida State doesn't deserve it.
They practiced in them, but they have not played in them yet. But this is another product from Tiger Air that you can learn about online at tigerair.com, TIGERAIRE.com, tigerair.com. Our friends over at Tiger Air doing great stuff. Jack and the crew, G-String and the fellas. We appreciate them supporting the show as always. And go check them out. Tiger Air, TIGERAIRE.com. All right, good stuff today. Lots to get to. Are we overcritical on Brian Kelly not playing the best players?
A little bit, but then again.
Probably so.
Yeah.
Probably so.
I don't know if it's so much criticism as we're just asking questions.
We just want to see certain guys.
And, yeah, for some of the stuff in the chat where it's, armchair quarterback this and armchair coaching that, it's like we're just listening to the press conference, not really breaking any news.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand what you want from us. It's not really opinion-based. It's just this is what we've seen. Deshaun Womack has 5 snaps.
Yeah.
Would you like to see more? Yes. I don't think it's not elite level analysis there. I think everybody can agree.
Have the DBs been bad? Would you like to see more DBs mix in? Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
The coaching staff will figure it out. But they do. It does feel after you hear Wilson talk about, when you're trying to move Harold Perkins around, it seems fundamentally they're limited.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's the Saints offensive line and the LSU defensive backfield they're like going through the same thing. I mean, they're like, what's the deal this week? Where you're like, it's the same people. It's just taking a minute. Right? It just has to be developed, and people have to find their spots. And I think some of them you have to. You're still kind of figuring out if they can play or not.
Right.
That's why the emphasis for me has been on Welch, and even Stamps.
You got to find out if he could play.
Right. At some point you got to. Did they sink or did they swim?
Yeah, and after what you heard from what Brian Kelly said, it seems like they've got their rotation of guys, and you haven't really seen LaTerrence Welch or Stamps coming in and play. Toviano, you haven't really seen coming in and play. So it feels like you have the guys, that what you've seen is what you're going to get. I think that if they could figure out maybe what works best for the group that they have, you got to see some stylistic changes, because it does feel like you're pretty pigeonholed into 4 down linemen, 3 linebackers.
Yeah.
Where it's, all right, what Weeks is going to play, Penn's going to play, Harold Perkins is going to play, and then you have your front 7, but it feels like you can't do a lot creatively with that front 7. It feels, and I think this is going to be its greatest test up to this year, obviously, but with Lane Kiffin, that if you give them something that he can carbon copy and look at, it doesn't feel like it changes very often, he will find a mismatch. He will exploit you. If you can say anything about Lane.
Look, if one thing you're going to find out on Saturday is who one of the best play callers in the country believes to be the weak link of LSU's defense. Like, he is going to find a weakness and attack. I mean, that's what good, dominant play callers do. I mean, if you've been around football, if you've heard football, you've known enough play callers to say, hey, look, what's the strategy? What is the game plan? Right? I remember when I was trying to figure out, like, how do you build game plans when you were, kind of young, when I was young in the media, trying to realize, like, what's all the time being spent on in game planning? And ultimately, it comes down to that, of finding the weakest link and just attacking. I mean, that's ultimately really what football is, right? It's just putting your best player against essentially their weakest player and trying to dominate. And Lane Kiffin does that as good as anyone as a play caller. I would say Dan Mullen was fantastic at that. But Lane Kiffin specifically now is a guy that really, he'll find kind of the one that can't keep up, and he's just going to put his thumb on it and continue to just grind until you make a
bad doctor.
So much so that last year after the game, he couldn't believe that Harold Perkins was being taken off the field.
I wish I'd known about this.
I mean, like, he was like, hey, here's a little advice for you as I'm heading out.
Free one.
Play that guy a lot more. So, I mean,
some issues.
It's going to be
because Lane will do. I mean, he has no shame.
Right.
And it's like when you play Madden and somebody just keeps running the same play over and over. Like, well, you're cheating. It's like, no, I'm winning. And that's what Lane will do. If this works against you and you won't get out of your set, I will go hurry up and I will run it right at you every play until we get 6 points. Then you kick me the ball again and I will do it again.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't make an adjustment, he does not care.
Right.
And so that's what I'm interested to see. But I think this will be LSU's biggest test defensively, because it feels like you're a little bit stuck in that 4-3 look where, woof, that's about as basic as it gets.
And they can't create any pressure off that forefront.
Well, I don't want to say that just yet, because you saw.
I think they're good.
They've got pressure. They're like getting home.
Yeah,
right.
It's not finishing the play, yeah. And then I mean, KJ Jefferson, that's a whole different animal.
Mm-hmm.
But
that's true.
Like Jackson steps up like that, you'd probably get him to the ground.
Yeah, that was a lot of arms and legs around him, and he was just standing tough. And there's a big man trying to get down, and it kind of felt a little bit. This is obviously a different player, but same thing that happened in, was it 2021 Auburn Bo Nix, where you were all around him but couldn't get him to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you don't want to have happen with the Jackson Dart. You kind of plays similarly, where you might be right there, but you have to, let's finish the play. And if LSU can do that, like I said, they're getting close to home. They're just not walking in the door.
Hit that like button, share button, comment button. As we said, we appreciate you being here. So LSU will face off against Missouri at 11 a.m. in 2 weeks. They'll be in Oxford this Saturday. So 2 straight road games before coming home on October 14th to Auburn to face Auburn. Those are the next 3 games ahead for LSU. So a couple of conference foes here coming up as you're in the teeth and the heart of Southeastern Conference play. Tigers in Oxford on Saturday
5 o'clock.
and head into to Missouri. Yeah, weird time.
That's a weird time. Why is that?
Is
5
that
o'clock
ESPN?
on ESPN, yeah.
Central?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be a central kickoff. Yeah.
Getting a Herbie call again? Herbie, thank you.
No way, huh? 2 weeks in a row?
Yeah, look, hey.
They don't get the 5 o'clock window.
I've never heard of the 5 o'clock window.
Yeah, they usually get the.
I mean, they get the 7. They get the prime time.
Let's see. What is this? Week 5?
What's the slate look like this weekend, Stewie?
Yeah.
Let's see.
That's what I'm on.
See you have
Week
Colorado,
5.
USC.
Oof.
Let's see.
Texas A&M at Arkansas.
Yeah. USC at Colorado.
I mean, Max
Wow,
Johnson.
that's an 11 a.m. kickoff.
Yeah,
in Dallas. I mean, I'm still trying to figure out why LSU and Missouri is at 11 a.m. kickoff.
Yeah,
they're probably going to be the only ranked matchup of the weekend.
Yeah,
that's old school thinking by the SEC, where it's
just play.
Surely this can't be a good game. And it's like, well, the SEC is an absolute rock fight with each other.
Yeah.
Like everybody could get it. You're just spinning around and throwing a punch, but. That just seems like you just looked at the schedule and you go, like, if you'd have told me before the year, I'd be like, yeah, that'll be 11 o'clock kick. Like, just don't even think about it.
Right.
But now it's like, this should be a 2:30 game.
I mean, really?
Georgia at Auburn.
This weekend?
Yeah, Kansas at Texas.
Kansas.
Kansas is sneaky.
You have a good quarterback.
Texas is solid.
Yeah, I think the word's out that they might be the best team in the country. People are following
Really?
you. Yeah.
Damn.
Yep.
I was kind of hoping to be here for a minute by myself.
Notre Dame at Duke.
SVP was with you.
Notre Dame at Duke.
Yeah, Duke's getting game day for the first time.
Ooh. This could be we will really find out if Notre Dame is any good or not.
South Carolina at Tennessee.
That's a bad spot for Notre Dame.
Yeah.
After a big
brutal
loss
after only scoring 10 points.
That's a good team.
Yeah.
Duke is good.
Duke is.
Hey, Marcus Freeman, a little quick tip, play 11.
Alabama at Mississippi State at 8 p.m. That's probably where Herbie and
oh god,
that is gonna be
that'll be
brutal.
70-0.
Shake them, go Dak. Shake them cowbells.
Go Dak, go.
They'll be out of there quick.
Yeah.
Oh, Will Rogers might quit after that football game.
He might quit before.
Yes. I mean, if LSU was he's just not that is malpractice. What they're doing to him. They should have been like, dude, just go to the NFL. Leave. He would have gotten drafted. Now it's like,
or even go to another school.
Be back coaching here next year.
Good Lord.
Michigan at Nebraska.
He does put the feelers out there, Coach.
Don't sleep on Harbaugh and the Michigan the Wolverines, Coach.
I'm ready for him to play somebody.
Yeah, they got defense though. They
got Minnesota. And wait, is Michigan? No, Michigan's got at Nebraska. Yeah, and the return of Harbaugh. Be putting those cleats and khakis on. He's probably got those things laid up, just looking at them every day.
Laid out.
Hanging by the laces.
What? The cleats on the cleats strung together like
on top of the door.
Puts him over his bed like mistletoe.
Yeah.
Come here, baby.
So ready. I'm ready to see you Saturday.
You know what happens when you lay under the cleats.
Pray to the football gods.
Have a great day. If you were out at LSU women's practice yesterday, it was fantastic. From all the feedback. We've had a chance to watch them run a little bit in the offseason, and if you were in there, you got your first sights of players like Anissa Morrow, Haley Van Lith, who was out there. I tell you what, Samaya Smith looks like she has improved in her one season in college, and then you get your first look at players like Michaela Williams, who Michaela Williams I think is going to I think she's going to lead this team in scoring. I really do. I think that the pressure that is going to be taken off of her night in, night out is coming in as this headline freshman when you're playing around a group of so many high-end, talented, experienced players like she will. It is going to take so much off of her where she's just going to go out and free-flowingly play every single night. And she is probably – and I want to say this respectfully. This is the best team in the country as far as talent's concerned. I'm just throwing that. I would assume that after watching them practice. Michaela Williams is the most skilled out of all of them. Like, she can dribble, she can shoot, she can jump, she can run, she can catch, she can do everything.
And she can pass.
She can do everything in a basketball skill set that you're looking for. Some of them, Angel Reese is the best rebounder in the country.
Yeah.
Right? Haley Van Lith's one of the best passer set-up scorers in the country. Anissa Morrow is the best jump shooter in the country. Michaela Williams can do all of that. Like, she can do that whole thing. So
she got that AI package.
I can't wait to watch them play.
Is UConn back?
I think they are. I think that, which I love.
Was it Paige Bucker's back?
Yeah, Paige Buchers.
Is it Beckers?
I think it's Buckhurts. I don't know.
No, I think
let's look up the Google.
Becker. I think it's
B-U-E.
Yeah, it's spelled weird for its pronunciation.
This is our strong suit, fellas.
Yeah, it's not.
Stumbled right into the path of most resistance.
David Carr over here.
Yeah, we're watching you fall apart these last couple of days. The headphones not being plugged in. We had a Mitch McConnell freeze yesterday. We had a Derek David Carr.
I thought I was over the David stuff.
Getting into that Lou Holtz
came up and snatched you.
I thought I was over the.
Thought
David
I was out
stuff.
of the dark,
out of nowhere.
What do you think their parents do?
Oh, jeez.
Oh, damn. Derek. God, damn it. David.
Both of you here now.
Just
they set themselves up for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And they both went to Fresno
been
State.
Like Joe and Steve.
Right. Yeah. Derek, David, and they look alike.
They do.
It's a
Could have
disaster.
been Jason and Travis.
Yeah. What a family.
Wow.
Which one is it?
Jason and Travis? Oh, he's Derek Carr.
Derek.
DC.
Eat shit, Derek.
Call me Nighthawk.
we had a kid. We had a dude at our school. His name was Derek, and he was my buddy's cousin, and we'd always see him in the halls and say, "Eat shit, Derek."
Is that to live with it?
Yeah. He was older than us. Yeah. That was our way of messing with him.
And once that becomes a thing, there's nothing you can do about it. You're eat shit, Derek.
You're done, bro. Yeah. Have a good day out there. Hit that like button, share button, comment button. We'll be back with you tomorrow morning, 7 a.m.
Monday through Friday from 7 to 9. Yeah, you see the notification, we about to go live. We got all your favorite guests, we got them in line. It's the Jordy Culotta Show, come have a good time. It's the hottest show around, we ain't gotta flex. Call up G, we get it done, we earning our respect. Tell recruits to let us in, where they going next. Throw up the L's, now we lit, band playing neck. From the boot to the east to the west coast. No matter where we at, we live, mic'd up for show. Open up the phone lines, come and join the show. Make sure you tell your friends about